Welcome to Afra Global 24, your trusted source for breaking news, deep insights, and stories shaping Africa and the world. Stay informed, stay connected, and experience the news that matters. Right here, 24/7. In the heart of West Africa, under the bright Sahel sun, a new industrial revolution is quietly taking shape. In the city of Kédougou, Burkina Faso, a massive structure of steel, machinery, and innovation now stands as a symbol of national pride and self-reliance. This is Africa's largest cotton processing factory, the centerpiece of a bold new vision championed by Captain Ibrahim Traoré. For decades, Burkina Faso has been known as one of the world's leading producers of raw cotton, white gold that traveled thousands of miles from African farms to textile factories in Asia and Europe. Yet, the farmers who toiled in the field saw little of its final value. For every bale of cotton exported, foreign companies reaped the benefits, while Burkina Faso's economy remained tied to dependency and underdevelopment. That imbalance is now being challenged. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso is beginning to rewrite its economic story, one that seeks to transform the nation from a raw material exporter into a manufacturing powerhouse. The launch of this cotton factory marks a decisive turning point, a move that signals the country's determination to control its own resources and shape its own industrial destiny. The factory, located in the central western region, is designed to process more than 20,000 tons of cotton fabric each year, employing thousands of Burkinabe workers. Equipped with modern spinning, weaving, and dyeing technology, it represents not only a leap in industrial capacity, but also a reaffirmation of sovereignty. For Traoré, industrial independence is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Observers describe the factory's opening as a milestone not just for Burkina Faso, but for Africa at large. It's a moment that illustrates how the continent's emerging leaders are shifting their priorities from foreign aid to self-reliant growth. This initiative echoes the voices of past African revolutionaries who dreamed of an Africa that could produce, manufacture, and innovate for itself. The symbolism of this project runs deep. Cotton, once the hallmark of colonial exploitation, is being transformed into a symbol of freedom and progress. Burkina Faso's farmers who for generations exported their harvests only to see them return as imported fabrics, can now witness a future where their raw cotton becomes a locally crafted product, woven, dyed, and sold under the banner of African enterprise. Behind the factory's gleaming walls lies a story of determination. Traoré's administration worked through logistical, financial, and diplomatic hurdles to make this project a reality. International partners were cautious and some skeptical. Yet, support from within Africa, particularly through regional collaboration, played a decisive role. By prioritizing local investment, engineering expertise, and youth employment, the project was completed with remarkable efficiency, a testament to what can be achieved through coordinated national effort. Inside the facility, hundreds of young Burkinabe technicians operate spinning machines that hum rhythmically, transforming raw cotton into fine threads of cloth. Quality control teams inspect each batch with precision, ensuring the final product meets international standards. The goal is not just to produce for the domestic market, but to position Burkina Faso as a regional exporter of finished textiles, a sector long dominated by Asia. For many citizens, this factory is more than an industrial site. It's a statement of identity and resilience. It represents a future where young people can find skilled employment at home instead of seeking uncertain opportunities abroad. For women, who make up a large portion of the textile workforce, it opens new doors to financial independence and social mobility. In the heart of West Africa, a silent revolution is unfolding, not on the battlefield, but in the factories, farmlands, and production lines of Burkina Faso. For decades, this landlocked nation was known primarily for its gold and cotton exports, resources shipped raw to distant countries, refined abroad, and sold back to Africa at prices far beyond their worth. But today, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, that narrative is beginning to change. A new factory stands tall on the outskirts of Ouagadougou, a sprawling industrial complex that hums with the sound of modern machinery, precision, and pride. This is Africa's largest cotton processing plant, a facility capable of transforming more than 20,000 tons of cotton into finished fabric every year. For Burkina Faso, this isn't just another factory. It's a declaration, a statement to the continent and to the world that the era of exporting raw materials and importing poverty is coming to an end. Cotton has always been part of Burkina Faso's story. The nation ranks among Africa's top cotton producers, often called white gold by local farmers. Yet for decades, this wealth rarely translated into prosperity. The cotton was grown by Burkinabe hands but processed by foreign machines, creating jobs and industries overseas while local communities remained trapped in cycles of dependency. President Traoré's vision seeks to reverse that imbalance. By investing in industrialization and value addition, Burkina Faso aims to keep the wealth of its resources within its borders. The cotton that once left the country in bales will now leave in bolts, woven, refined, and proudly labeled, "Made in Burkina Faso." The factory itself is a marvel of ambition. Designed to operate at full capacity year-round, it employs thousands of local workers, technicians, engineers, logistics specialists, and machine operators, many of them young graduates from Burkina Faso's vocational institutions. The project represents not only economic renewal but also social transformation, offering real opportunities to a generation long marginalized by unemployment and underdevelopment. What makes this initiative remarkable is not just its size, but its symbolism. For decades, Burkina Faso's economy, like much of Africa's, was structured around raw material exports controlled by foreign interests. Nations rich in resources remained poor because they produced what they did not consume and consumed what they did not produce. Traoré's cotton factory challenges that structure directly. It is a physical embodiment of a new philosophy, one rooted in self-sufficiency, production sovereignty, and regional collaboration. When the facility was inaugurated, government officials described it as the first of many industrial projects designed to make Burkina Faso less dependent on external powers. The cotton plant, they said, would not only serve domestic needs but also supply markets across the Sahel region, from Mali and Niger to Chad and beyond. In this sense, the factory is not just Burkinabe, it is Pan-African. The timing of this development is no coincidence. In recent years, Burkina Faso has undergone profound political and economic shifts. The country has faced security challenges, sanctions, and isolation from certain Western partners. Yet, instead of retreating, the nation has doubled down on self-reliance. The launch of this cotton factory reflects that determination, the conviction that Africa can build, produce, and thrive without depending on the old systems that once dictated its direction. International observers have taken note. Economists describe Burkina Faso's approach as production nationalism, a model where local industries are prioritized and export chains are restructured to favor domestic processing. The cotton plant fits perfectly within that framework, signaling a shift from dependency to autonomy. But the factory is more than a symbol of independence. It's a practical engine for growth. Analysts estimate that Burkina Faso loses hundreds of millions of dollars annually by exporting raw cotton instead of finished textiles. With the new facility, a significant portion of that lost value can now remain within the national economy. The ripple effects are enormous, from job creation and skill development to regional trade and currency stability. Beyond economics, the project carries a message of pride and dignity. For many Burkinabe citizens, seeing local cotton transformed into fine textiles on home soil represents a reclaiming of identity. It's a reminder that African hands can build African industries, and African minds can design the systems that sustain them. During his address at the factory's opening, Captain Ibrahim Traoré emphasized that industrial independence is as vital as political sovereignty. He spoke of the need for African nations to stop exporting their futures along with their raw materials. His words echoed across the Sahel, a region where similar ambitions are taking shape in energy, mining, and agriculture. Critics may question whether such initiatives can withstand global market pressures or sustain profitability over time. But supporters argue that success must be measured not only in profits, but in purpose, in the ability of a nation to chart its own destiny. And in that regard, Burkina Faso's new cotton factory stands as a triumph. Across the African continent, young leaders and entrepreneurs are watching closely. They see in Traoré's project a model of what is possible when leadership aligns with national interest, when resources are used not as bargaining chips for foreign aid, but as foundations for domestic growth. It is, in many ways, the beginning of a new industrial story for West Africa, a story in which African nations are not just suppliers of raw goods, but creators of finished products, controlling the means of production, distribution, and innovation. As the factory's first rolls of fabric emerge from the production line, there's a quiet sense of history being made. These are not just textiles. They are symbols of transformation, tangible proof that Burkina Faso, once considered one of the world's poorest nations, is finding wealth in its own hands. For the thousands of Burkinabe workers who now earn their livelihood within these walls, the factory represents more than a paycheck. It represents a future, a chance to contribute, to innovate, and to build something enduring. And for the continent, it represents a shift in mindset, from extraction to creation, from dependency to empowerment. Burkina Faso's cotton factory is not simply an industrial project. It is a declaration of intent, a signal that Africa's economic renaissance will not come from charity or foreign investment alone, but from the sweat, skill, and spirit of its own people. The hum of its machines may be local, but the message they send is global. Africa is done exporting its potential. It is time to weave its own destiny, one thread, one fabric, one nation at a time. Economists project that if the facility reaches full capacity, it could generate over $100 million in annual export value, significantly reducing Burkina Faso's trade deficit. Moreover, it will help diversify the economy, long reliant on agriculture and gold, by adding value through manufacturing and technology. The opening ceremony drew widespread attention across Africa. Delegations from neighboring countries, including Mali and Niger, attended the event, signaling growing cooperation among Sahel nations that are seeking to chart their own economic paths. Leaders and dignitaries praised the initiative as a model for local transformation, one that could inspire similar projects across the region. But the project also arrives at a complex time. The global textile industry remains fiercely competitive, dominated by massive producers like China, India, and Bangladesh. For Burkina Faso, entering this market will require strategic planning, efficient logistics, and strong branding. Yet, the country's leadership remains confident. Their advantage lies not in scale, but in authenticity, producing ethical, high-quality African textiles that tell a story of empowerment. In his address, Captain Ibrahim Traoré emphasized that the cotton factory is part of a larger vision, one that includes industrial zones, renewable energy infrastructure, and regional trade corridors. Burkina Faso must produce what it consumes and consume what it produces, he declared, echoing a message of economic self-determination that resonated across the continent. The nation's commitment to industrialization is also environmental. The factory incorporates sustainable energy systems powered by solar technology, reflecting Burkina Faso's broader transition toward renewable energy. Engineers designed the plant to minimize waste and water usage, aligning with both global and local sustainability goals. Beyond economics, this factory symbolizes something far more profound, a psychological shift in how nations like Burkina Faso view their place in the global order. For generations, African countries were told to focus on exporting raw commodities, leaving the high-value industries to others. That model created dependency, debt, and underdevelopment. Traoré's government is challenging that narrative head-on. The new cotton factory stands as proof that industrialization is not just possible. It is achievable through vision, organization, and political will. Analysts point out that this initiative fits within a broader movement across Africa, where nations are reclaiming control of their resources, from gold and oil to lithium and cotton. The shift signals a growing confidence among African leaders who are determined to break the cycles of external dependency. As dusk falls over Kédougou, the factory lights continue to burn bright, a visual metaphor for a nation moving forward. For many Burkinabe citizens, this is not merely a government project, but a source of national pride. Farmers see a guaranteed domestic market for their cotton. Youth see employment opportunities. Entrepreneurs see new supply chains forming. And the government sees industrial sovereignty taking root. Across the Sahel, the message is clear. Africa's economic independence begins at home. While challenges remain, from financing to regional instability, Burkina Faso's bold step demonstrates that transformation begins with action. The cotton factory is more than a building. It's a blueprint for the continent's future. In the coming years, success will depend on scaling this model, linking local production to global markets and fostering regional collaboration. Yet, the foundation has been laid. A country once viewed through the lens of poverty and instability is now emerging as a symbol of innovation and self-determination. As Captain Ibrahim Traoré stood before the massive factory gates, surrounded by workers and dignitaries, his words carried both pride and purpose. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Our goal is to make Burkina Faso a producer, not a supplier of raw materials, but a builder of value." Those words resonate beyond Burkina Faso's borders. They speak to a rising African consciousness, one that recognizes the power of industry, the importance of sovereignty, and the promise of unity. From the spinning of cotton threads to the weaving of national ambition, Burkina Faso's new industrial journey has begun. And for Africa, this may well be the fabric of a new era. You've been watching Afri Global 24, your window into Africa and the world. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest stories shaping our continent and beyond. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a report. And join the conversation in the comments below. Until next time, this is Afri Global 24, bringing Africa closer to the globe 24 hours a day.